I love the beginning part of these moments because it's always that moment of like the camera turns on and you get one of two people who either go or the people that are like, yeah, so as we were talking about before this started, and I'm like, that was such a good story. I wish you would have waited another 20 seconds. With all that being said, hello everyone and welcome to the Seattle Indies Founders Club. I'm Kevin and I am joined this time by
I'm Bilgem. I have a studio called Clay Token Game Studio with my co-founders. We build cutting-edge games for hardcore gamers. We're currently building and running a game called Steel Swarm Apocalypse. That's a MOBA with machine swarms in a destructible city. So yeah, that's my story.
Okay, so first off, you cannot just casually drop machine swarms in a destroyed city and not expect me to go, please tell me more. But before we get to that, I have a question. So one of the big things that I've kind of wanted to ask is what brought you to gaming? Like, how did you arrive at this industry?
Yeah, I'm kind of older, so I started back in the Commodore 64 days.
Okay.
That was my first computer. I started gaming and programming on that from late 80s.
Okay.
And then, so I kind of, as I grew up, I got more and more into computer graphics, rendering technologies, which is very much, like game adjacent and game centric.
Yeah.
So once my career started about 25 years ago, I always worked in either games or computer graphics or simulation type of stuff. So I never thought I would end up anywhere else, I guess.
I get that. I understand that completely. So to give you a little bit of context, so my gaming experience, I don't remember how old I was. So I was that young at least. But the first two games I remember playing was the original Legend of Zelda and Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest.
Cool.
I specifically remember Castlevania because I had it and a couple of my friends. I thought it was one of the greatest games ever, except there were some things that were a little weird about it. And my friends, when I told them that, were like, oh, maybe it's really spooky. So I gave it to them, not realizing that the thing that was a little different was that the localization was horrible. And as a big reader, like I would read the things the game was saying, and I was like, I don't quite get what that's supposed to mean, but I'll figure it out. And when I look at where that part came from, right, like the localization being so bad, to games now being in multiple languages at the same time and accurate, it is amazing to see how that one small part of the industry has advanced. And that is one small part.
Sure.
Considering that you've spent a lot of time in graphics, what was one of the first moments that you realized, oh, we've made a huge leap that we can't go back
from? This is a very personal thing. I think different people will have different types of answers to this kind of a question. But for me, I think my answer will surprise many people. It's happened way further past than many people would think for me. So there was a game called Elite. This was on the 8-bit computers. First came out on a BBC Micro in mid-80s, I think. Then came to all other 8-bit machines. It used the graphics style, wireframe graphics, basically. But it was one of the first, like on it's a space simulation type of a game. And you are like going through space. There are these white dots on a black background, which is space. And there is the actual wireframe spaceships and space stations and whatnot. So I will never forget the first moment that I saw the white wireframe spaceship turning. And this is like very early first step computer graphics. That was kind of what triggered my love of computer. Like I was, I think, 14 or something when I first saw this. And that moment, I knew that like this is what I'm going to work on my entire life.
I get that.
So that is a more personal. There's no point of no return kind of a moment for me. But since then, like I've like every time from wired vector to filled vectors, from filled vectors to texture mapped 3D, from texture mapped 3D to like lighting and shadows, and like these are, you know, one by one going through Doom to Quake to, you know, Quake 2.
Yeah.
So all those steps, every one of them, for people like me in computer graphics, we would get so excited about every one of them. Oh my God, there are shadows, you know, like stuff like that. For a long while, I couldn't play like FPS games because I'd be like, I'd come out of a building and there'd be this like bloom effect because of the like sunlight, and I'm like, oh, look at that bloom effect, how nice! Look at the water effect there, and then, you know, zip, I'm dead. Like so like every one of those steps I've enjoyed. Yeah, I don't know if that answers the question.
No, that answers it perfectly. Yeah. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that, because I had a different experience with first-person shooters.
Yeah.
I played FPS games for quite a while. I think the first one I played was like Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare. Right. But one of the ones I got really sucked into was Rainbow Six Siege. And in Rainbow Six Siege, one of the main parts of the gameplay is the information gathering between the defenders and the attackers.
Okay.
And the defenders, the main way that they gather information is that they have cameras, because, you know, these are in buildings like ports and all these other places that would naturally have kind of cameras sitting there. And after playing that game, no joke, for like months and months at a time, I started to notice that when I would go into like a mall or a Walmart, I would walk in and immediately start clocking cameras. And my friend thought it was real funny. And I was like, no, I know you think this is funny. This is a problem, because this is going to end up being an issue for me one day. Right. And he's like, dude, it's not gonna, I don't know what your issue is. It's going to be fine. A year later, we went to Las Vegas.
I was going to say.
And we went to a casino. And we're sitting around playing a couple games, and he's having a decent day. And I am trying my best to focus on the table in front of me. And he's like, you need to relax. And I'm like, I am relaxed. I'm trying to stay focused on the game. So he decided, you know, we're having drinks, of course, because it's Vegas. And he decides that he is going to order my drink a smidge stronger. And by a smidge stronger, if you've ever been to Vegas, you know that the drinks are for the most part free.
Yeah.
If you tip well, the drink becomes better.
I see. Yeah.
So he left a black chip on the hostess's tray and asked to bring whatever I asked for next. I normally drink old fashions, but there I was like, I'm gonna have a whiskey and ginger. And when it comes back, the glass is filled like it normally is, and I take a big sip because they've been fairly normal, and it was mostly whiskey.
Right.
Within 20 minutes,
You're checking all the cameras.
Well, I've loosened up now. So now I'm back to clocking cameras, and he's killing it on his blackjack table. And he makes this one gamble that is a stupid gamble, but it paid off for him.
Okay.
He chose to hit on something that you normally wouldn't.
Yeah.
And he ended up kind of getting really lucky.
Okay.
And the moment after that happened, he was like, this has been one of the best nights of gambling I've ever had. And then these gentlemen in black suits came over and goes, can you two come with us? And we had to spend the next 5 or so minutes trying to explain I had to try and spend the next 5 minutes explaining why I was looking at cameras. And he had to spend the next 30 minutes explaining the consequences of this seemingly innocuous choice that he made that turned out to have some pretty big consequences.
Right.
Now, I know that seems like a random story, but it actually segues really well into my next question. Okay. So we were talking when you guys were coming off the stage, because a common through that we've seen is that a lot of founders have started their studios, and they haven't always had all of the people that they've wanted. In some cases, it might be people that are working at other companies or working on other games. And you sometimes just have to wait and hope that you find someone that's as good as the person you really wanted to get. Or if the person that you were looking for happens upon bad luck, you can offer them a place to land. Mm-hmm. There have been a lot of layoffs in the gaming industry over the last year and a half.
Yeah.
And although it is a horrible thing that for most people on the outside, it is purely a negative and it makes no sense, there is a silver lining to it. And that's kind of the question I want to ask. I know that a lot of times indie and AA studios are looking for good talent. And with the sudden kind of flush of talent onto the market, knowing that dev cycles for games can be anywhere from 2 to 5 years, Do you think that the game quality we will see in indie and AA games is going to get much closer to parity with like the AAA games that we're seeing now? Or do you think that indie games will continue to do what they do best, which is innovate in gameplay experiences?
My answer to this question is, of course, a speculation. There's no need to know, but I think the way these, first of all, I think I disagree with one of the assumptions there about the gaming development life cycles over the next 5 years that we'll see. I think we'll see shorter life cycles than 2 to 5 years. I think the industry is rapidly moving towards a model, especially on, I'm talking about PC and console right now, where the PC and console development, to me, starts looking more and more like mobile development. And that is kind of, people want to roll more dices and have more rolls, and they want to, therefore, be able to afford and make smaller things. Make smaller things, less shiny things, and innovate on like gameplay or some idea, something. And like every year there'll be this one successful indie game that doesn't look very polished or very AA, AAA, but does immensely well, like the Vampire Survivors or Balatro or whatever. Like these games will then create this narrative that, hey, let's, instead of making one 5-year game with 10 people, let's make 26-month games with 2 people each, kind of a thing. I think that's where things are moving. There will always be exceptions to this, obviously, but I think we'll see more of that. So the influx of talent that comes from the layoffs into the indie landscape will, I think, be very distributed. We'll see many teams that are small that try very different things. And therefore, the look and feel of what we see out of those efforts will not be similar to AA or AAA, I think.
Gotcha. I actually hadn't considered that. I hadn't considered the shortening of the dev life cycles, which is a really good point, and that really reframes how I kind of view that question. So yeah, I dig that.
May I add one more thing, like,
of course,
to actually emphasize how much this move is happening? One of the things we see in various parts of the world is that now many publishers will launch a number of Steam pages for potential games that they're going to build with fake visuals and fake videos and trailers and whatnot.
Really?
And then see which one gets the most traction, as we were talking inside, which gets most traffic, which gets most wish lists. And then out of 15 potential game Steam pages, they'll get the 2 best performing ones and actually build those. So that's kind of how much mobile-like this is becoming, in my opinion.
That's wild. Because on the one side, there are some negatives that I can see some people I can see having, but the other side of that is if you're looking at it as I have a dev team of 20 people. I have each of these 20 people break up into teams of 2 and come up with these fake games. We'll call them, instead of calling them fake games, we'll call them super
candidate games or something.
Yeah, we'll call them super pre-alpha games. Like it's not even that. They're blueprints.
Yeah,
like super pre-alpha blueprints.
Yes.
And then you put these up, and you have people with the graphics you put behind them, and then you see which 2 perform best. Yeah. And then they take the team of 20 and they go, okay, these are the 2 that are working the best. Yeah. I'm going to take 10 here. I'm going to take 10 here. I feel like that model already exists in the indie space, and it's called game jams. So I find it interesting that that's a concept that I hadn't considered, even though I've worked with game jams. Yeah. So that's wild.
Yeah, I mean, the difference between the game jam and this, I think, is the market measuring.
Yes.
like Steam will give you, or itch.io or whatever other platform will give you actual metrics of people who are showing interest in the game. Whereas Game Jam, you can get some, like some sample size of people at the Game Jam that are enjoying the game, give you feedback. You talk to 7 people there or something. But if you get like 1,000 wish lists on this little, super little thing that doesn't even exist, that you have a few graphics and concept designs for on a Steam store page within a week, that's insane amount of information. By the way, I have to say, I don't advocate this style of development necessarily. I recognize its value from a business point of view. And I'm just kind of calling out this as a trend that I see happening.
I get that. I can see the benefit of it and not agree with the concept. Like I definitely get that. I think the reason I kind of made the Game Jam correlation is that in my mind, if publishers wanted to do that more ethically, the idea would be to lean into a Game Jam like scenario where you have your team of developers go, okay, listen guys, there's 50 of us. I'm going to break you guys up into teams of 4, and I want you to create a game, give me a pitch, give me a level's worth of gameplay and some graphics, and then we're going to put up Steam pages for all of them. We will be forthcoming, and we will tell people like these are all in development. These may not actually release. Have them, list them as maybe early access, maybe just to have them up there, and then you see which ones get the most traction. Which it's still not great, but I feel like that would be a slightly better variation of it.
I think the biggest downside is that this type of an approach, in both scenarios, when you put store pages for games that you don't intend to make, it's creating noise on Steam, and it makes life harder for all of us on Steam. It already is too crowded, and trying to appear above the noise is a challenge. So this only makes things worse in that sense. But again, this is very much the mobile playbook. This is what people have been doing on the mobile front, and it's worked well.
20 copies of the same game, and you're like, which one is the one I'm actually looking for here? So, okay, I feel like the best way to combat that, though, and to kind of give more power to indie devs is organizations like Seattle Indies. So I kind of want to ask, how did you get connected with Seattle Indies?
I've lived here since 2006, so almost 20 years now. I think I first became aware of Seattle Indies circa 2012, 2013, something like that. So I started coming to the events to kind of hang out. I came to, I think, a few Ludum Dare hosted location. Everybody gets together, kind of 20 people in a room kind of a thing. I got into a few of those. I got to meet people like Tim and Constance, like some of the folks that have been around running this for a long while. And then I can't remember the exact year, but I think there was a year from which point on they went for the 503c thing. Like the things got serious and more organized. And I was very impressed by the structure of Seattle Indies. And let me explain that, because I think this is a tool that many indie communities like Seattle Indies in other parts of the world can learn from. And one of the early meetings after that kind of things getting serious point in time, one of the founders, I'll say, I guess one of the lead organizers gave this explanation about the set of events, the meetups they had at that time, which was one, they had a Saturday meeting in AIE, which was like a co-development hangout session, right? So you're new in town, you can go to that on a Saturday and take your laptop, work a bit on your game, and there are fellows, 8 other guys around you, and you show your game, they show their game to you, etc. And then another one was I think once a month we had the critique circle, which was again one Wednesday evening at a space. A bunch of people would get together. Some of the developers would volunteer to show their game and get feedback, and then people would critique them. Oh, I really like this game, but like the UI on this corner, right, that's kind of unreadable. Can you fix that?
Gotcha.
Or I like this game mechanic, etc. So, and then on top of that, there was every 2 months we had the computer museum space in like by the baseball field available to us. We would go there, and in the kind of entry to the museum area, we had the showcases, and there would be basically like 10-15 tables. You'd sign up for them, and you can go there with your game, with your and you're kind of acting like it's a booth almost, right?
Gotcha.
And there's regular public that are going to the museum, that are passing by. So as they're passing by, they see your game, like a bunch of games. Hey, here's a bunch of games built in Seattle by indie developers. So kids, families, they come in, they try your game, they give you a feedback. And then on top of that, once a year, there's 6. Right. So, and 6 is the big, for those who don't know, it's the big, our big event, right? So, so there's like 25 games in a big room for an entire day during PAX. And 5,000, 6,000 people go by there. So it's so the way this organizer was explaining this set of events was striking to me. What they said were, okay, we have a set of events that are designed to help indie developers at every stage of their journey. And each one of them complements each other and teaches the indie developer a new set of skills. So you're new in town, you want to kind of connect with people and work on your game, that weekly thing. Then there's the monthly critique circle, like you have developed your game a little bit more, now it's kind of getting serious. You want actual kind of good tangible quality feedback from a bunch of game developers who know games, right? So that event is for that. And you learn kind of how to get feedback about your game, how to be able to listen, how to catch patterns, and how to change your game based on that. And then now you're ready to kind of get in front of not devs, but regular players. And that's your showcase. So you go there. Showcase is your chance to learn how to man a booth. And how to get regular people playing your game, get their feedback, observe them, etc. So you learn, this is every one of these things are skills. And then once you have a few showcases under your belt, you're now ready for 6. And then you can go to 6 and properly man a booth with an actual serious traffic, maybe publishers coming by your booth, all that stuff, media coming by your booth. So, and then there have been many games, many Seattle indie developers who have then graduated from 6 to PAX to Indie Mega Booth, like to GDC, wherever else. So
I can think of 3 immediately.
I mean, that's a journey, and we had events for each one of them. That's what makes Seattle indie so special in my eyes. It's a complete system of support. And I love that. And now with like Soba getting involved on some of these things as well, we are trying to kind of grow that even bigger. Now with Slice coming up, that's adding another dimension. Slice has been something we've been talking about for years. So that's my kind of appreciation story for Seattle Indies, and how I've always tried to I've volunteered for some of the events in the past as well. But even when I started my own company and couldn't do it anymore due to bandwidth, I still always try to be in a supporting position in attending events and learning from events through there. So Seattle Indies rocks. It's good.
The wild thing for me is that I've attended each of those steps as a host, right? And I've saw the value of each of them, but just from the lens of information. Like, oh, it's really cool to see how this information is getting out because it's showing how development teams can be built from these moments, how you're learning networking. But I hadn't considered it from that standpoint, because it literally is a full, like it's literally walk before you can fly. And like you mentioned, like there are a couple of games, like Rain on Your Parade, Slay the Spire. There are a couple of games that I know came through Seattle Indies that were games that I knew they were indie games just because of, I don't know, something about the publisher or the developer or something like, I don't recognize this name immediately. So I do a little bit more research and go, oh, okay, this is an indie dev. Oh, this is an indie dev in Seattle. Oh, this is cool. But when you learn about them after they've already hit that point, you feel like, oh, well, they must have gotten super lucky. But then listening to you, it's not always about luck. It's sometimes about all of the steps in between. That's brilliant. I think that's why I love this community. I love this industry, and I learn new things about this industry that I don't think I would get from any other place. And I think that's one of the things I love most about Seattle Indies. Okay, we're getting close to the end of the interview, so we're going to do some rapid fire. These are super lightweight questions.
Okay.
They will sound kind of silly, but they are all super light. Okay. So here's the first one. What game, if you could go back and reset everyone's memory of a single game so that they could experience it again for the first time, what would that game be?
Wow. So many games, so many great games. The way you phrase the question, for whatever reason that I can't explain right now, immediately made me think of Portal somehow.
Ooh,
Portal.
That's a good one.
That first Portal, especially like moments like the first time you get the second Portal creator thing.
Oh, that's a good one.
That moment, imagine like living that for the first time. Like there are many such moments. I think this is a question of moments in games where that kind of they slap you in the face kind of moments. So any game that had those kinds of moments, there are many of those in Braid.
Oh yeah, Braid.
Like, oh my God moments. You know, like there's just like here's how those two mechanics of time and position and all that kind of what, you know, like there are a lot of those. Those two come to my mind, and many older games. I don't know.
Portal's a good one. Braid is a good one. Those are both really good answers. Those are both good. So my answer is, and this is gonna sound really, really weird, but my answer for that would be like one of the very early. I want to say it was, what was it? Curse of Monkey Island.
Okay, yeah.
Because I would want people to relive how much was getting done with just text in that game.
Yeah.
And how games like Baldur's Gate and Skyrim are in some ways spiritual successors of that gameplay mechanic.
Yeah.
And also during that time of games, the comedy of, they didn't take themselves so seriously that they could have lighthearted moments, they could have moments with gravitas, and it all just played really well. And the only thing holding it back was that at the time the technology didn't allow them to render Baldur's Gate 3. So that's a good one. Okay.
I mean, I immediately went to the first moment. You're playing Curse of Monkey Island, and the first moment in the kind of offending the other person, fencing style thing. The moment you first realize what's going on in that mechanic and what you're supposed to do, how you are supposed to come up with the offending lines. You know, that's such a moment for me. Like that is
a really good one.
That would be a good one to kind of re-experience.
that would be. Okay, so next question up is what games have you been obsessed with lately as a player of games?
Oh man, I'm not a great player of games.
Okay.
I have played maybe about 10 to 20 games in the 30 or so years I've been playing very deeply.
Okay. That's okay.
But then I'm not someone who tries a lot of new games. Most recently, the game that I've been playing two games a lot other than my own game.
Of course.
One is Chants of Sennaar.
Okay.
The other is I like the language mechanic there a lot. And then the other has been an oldie that I've kind of gotten back into, which is Commandos.
Okay. Those I remember Commandos.
Yeah.
I want to say, am I thinking of Mercenaries or am I thinking Commandos? I need to make sure I'm not getting those mixed up. Because I remember Mercenary. Okay, I might have those mixed up. What
Commandos is the top down view. You have like a marine with a harpoon, a driver with a machine gun, a commando that can like kill with knife and carry the bodies. Like you're penetrating Second World War German encampments, Nazi
but
encampments.
It's the top down.
It's top down, and you can switch between guys. You have a sniper, like you switch to your sniper, take out the guard, get the green beret in front of that, send in the spy, have it talk to one of the guys so that they are looking away, and then like that kind of a
gotcha. That is actually
strategic thing. That was nice. Yeah, back in the day, I played it when it first came out, up to like 8-10 levels, something like that.
Gotcha.
I've been meaning to get back to it. These days, I am.
That is good. So the last question I would have, and this one is kind of a gimme. If you could describe the value of 6 to a dev that's watching this in a single sentence, what would that be?
6, I think, is a great goal and a great tool. That would be kind of my one sentence. And of course, they would need to look more into it, and like there's more depth behind those answers. But it's a great goal because getting into 6 is an achievement. Like that means you have a game. You have managed to build a game to a playable level that can withstand random public. You know, like that's a degree that you achieve. So it's a goal, and you have achieved certain levels of polish and quality and robustness in that thing that has made it pass through the judges for 6 selections. So that's what I mean by a goal. Like a dev early in their development cycle for a game should strive to achieve this goal. But it is also a great tool because once you're there, then you can gather a lot of feedback from actual players, get publicity, get wish lists, which are all important traction and kind of market research type of information, as well as potential publishers and media, all those kinds of things. Because 6, many people might not realize this. 6 is a big deal by now. Like 6 is an actual thing that people know. Like I've run into people in elevators going up to 6. Like a friend will tell another friend, will say, "Hey, like let's go check this 6 place out. Like it's a really cool. Like there are some cool games usually there. Like a few years back, I saw Slay the Spire there. So we have like 3, 4, 5 success stories out of Seattle that have gone through 6 to become then big. Therefore, people in the industry, professionals and gamers, both know about it and know to go and check it out on PAX time frame. So therefore, it is a great tool in that sense to grow your game.
That's a good answer. I actually had a similar experience. I was wearing a 6 shirt at TwitchCon. And I had a person stop me and go like, "Hey, do you work with 6?" And I'm like, I host for 6. And they're like, "Oh, okay. I was gonna ask you because I'm working on the game." And I'm like, "Go to the Seattle Indies Discord. Like all of the information that you're looking for is there." And I remember asking like, "Where do you live?" And he goes, "Oh, I live in, I think it was Everett." And I'm like, "Bro, you're go to the Seattle Indies Discord right now. You're literally in the area."
And I'm going to add one more thing on top of that, because if they go to Discord right now, they might get overwhelmed. I get overwhelmed by the Seattle Indies Discord because there are so many topics and titles and stuff. And there's a lot of message traffic going on. So one humble suggestion is, if you do follow this advice and go to the Discord, look at the events, especially in this, if you're in this area in Everett, in like in Puget Sound. Look at the events and find a meetup, find a physical meetup. Which for most people would be the 3rd Tuesday of every month. The Optimism, old Ops, is it Stout now? I forgot.
The place in Capitol Hill. Stout Brewery.
Stout Brewery. So go to that event and just meet people. Like that's that. Then you'll know how to navigate the vastness of Seattle Indies. We sometimes forget how vast it has become. So people need an entry point. I think the best entry point is a physical event.
I agree. Bilgem, Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate the time you spent with me. And at this point, this is going to be where we cut to another interview, or we're going to be talking about Slice. So whatever the case is, you're going to want to wait for what happens after this. Consider it a post-credit scene, if you will. All right.